I benefited greatly from Henry DuPont's interest in history and scholarship, and he founded the Winterthur Museum, which is 97 rooms dedicated to American design and decoration. And he always said that the ideal curator would be part librarian and part decorator. I was having dinner with an old friend of mine from school, Tim Hilton, and we were talking about how charmed we were to have the professors and the teachers we had and how much we learned from them. And he just looked at me and said, you know, you don't know you're in a golden age until the golden age is over. And certainly my time at Winterthur was a golden age. It was a chance to study American history, which I knew would be wonderful. Even before I came to Winterthur, I knew the phrase, what does this object say about the people who made and used it? And certainly we were able to say that often. And then to come to the bastion of material culture and learn about history in a primary way was a wonderful gift. But surprisingly, I wasn't expecting to be a decorator when I went to Winterthur, but I was captivated by the interiors. I was captivated by the arrangement of objects in a beautiful way. And in fact, decorating and Mr. DuPont were downplayed at Winterthur for the scholarly aspects. And it's really only been recently that people have realized that Mr. DuPont was such an important influence on American design and taste. And what I see in my work is his interest in combining objects that are historically related in a beautiful way. He felt they should be in a context so that you could see their shape and form against beautiful colors and settings. And now Mr. DuPont is celebrated as one of the great American decorators. So I understood when I arrived at Winterthur that I'd be studying material culture, but I wasn't prepared for the whole revelation of Mr. DuPont as a designer. And for me to have access to the museum collections for 2 years with care and handling privileges, to go into the rooms and see them and analyze them and be alone in them, in fact, was transformative. And I remember standing in what is called the Queen Anne dining room, and it's painted a beautiful shade of medium green, and the upholstery is blue and white on Queen Anne chairs in this resist pattern. And that room has a wonderful atmosphere that just sort of transports you into some historic place. It's not historically accurate per se, but it communicated history. In my book, The Finest Rooms in America, 50 Influential Interiors, I feature the Chinese parlor, which has scenic Chinese paper very high into a cove ceiling, probably one of the largest displays of Chinese wallpaper in the country, which you have to understand was extremely rare in the 18th century. I feel like you could walk in there today and enjoy it and use it. I think that's a testimony to his ability to take old things and arrange them in a convivial way. And also his aplomb at using historical material. I think even myself, given that opportunity, would be a little bit staggered about what I might do without a great deal of thought. And of course, Mr. DuPont did think a lot about decoration with great result, but it serves as inspiration to all of us that he had the style to achieve that. The opportunity to decorate Winterthur for Yuletide was a profound one because I'd be messing with the hand of the master. And I really had a lot of discussion with the curators and the director about whether this was appropriate. And their point was that Mr. DuPont was always improving and changing and editing. And that for me to go back and temporarily change some rooms with a modern eye or a contemporary eye would be much in his tradition. The rooms we decorated reflected Mr. DuPont's influence on me, his love of historic objects and their arrangement for color and sculpture and style, but also what we bring to the table and our sense of history of how to use these things in a modern way, in a contemporary way. So the room seemed fresher, I think because we had brighter colors and there was less things in the room and they were arranged for modern use. But I think that Mr. DuPont would honor how we had moved forward, and he would have lauded the change, especially since it was temporary. There's a tradition in American design of collecting antiques and arranging them for color and texture and sculpture, almost like collage. They're interested in the objects because they're historic, but they're also interested in how they look together. Mr. DuPont, certainly, he was also party to that. And later in his career, he got more interested in the historical nature of things. But at first, I think he was just interested in their beauty and shape. And he was taken with American things because of the simplicity of line and style. And I feel like in some ways you can look at Winterthur as its magnificent collage with rooms brought together with like and disparate objects for artistic effect. Put aside just the basic historic nature of the objects and start looking at them as compositions of art. But occasionally I would walk through the museum and not really think about history, but just think about taste and decoration. And that was equally illuminating to me.